Hey.
Hey, welcome to another Friday.
Yeah, we made it back. We made it through the week. The week was very prosperous for us.
Yes, it was very promising. We got a lot done, a lot accomplished. So, again, thank you, TGIF. Welcome to
Yes.
another Friday. All right, so we are going to enjoy today just like we enjoy every Friday.
Yes.
And we thank you guys for tuning in. And don't forget, if you want us to acknowledge you, please like or make a comment so that we can recognize you. And there were a few people last week we missed,
Yes,
so we
we
will
did.
acknowledge you this week. All right, so today we are talking about. I'll pause for you.
Oh, it's so wonderful. We'll get to that right after this.
Hey. So, welcome back.
Yes, welcome back.
So, who are we? We are Jason
And
and Tina Marie. That's me. He's
Yeah.
Jason.
Yes, I am.
And I'm Tina Marie. And so, we are. Our podcast is for couples and our channel is for couples, but we help the typical, like somewhat happy couple like us
Yep.
that have been married 5 years or more who find themselves struggling with like stagnation, lost feelings of love, disconnection, no
No
passion,
passion.
stuff like that, right?
Yep.
Intimacy, your relationship gets stale. So we help to create and find new ways to rekindle and mentally connect you guys again, to get your intimate connections back, to become more alive, to become closer. And so we're trying to break down a lot of the myths around marriage, and so that you can ultimately have the relationship where you feel like loved, respected, appreciated, right? Secure, happy, right? By having the marriage that you truly want, you truly desire. We often are told that we cannot have that marriage because once you get married, after so many
yeah.
years, it's lost. The reason why it's lost is because you lose it. So we're helping people stay in the driver's seat of their marriage. So we're taking marriages off of cruise control. So if you fall into that category, then this is for you. And if you don't want to fall into that category,
This
this
is
is for
for
you.
you.
So where can they find us, Jason?
Well, the podcast comes out every Wednesday, wherever you get your podcast delivered. So definitely check us out, Love and Beyond the I Do podcast. And also, you're right here on YouTube at Legendary Relationship. Please like and subscribe, join
And
the
share.
family, and share. Matter of fact, you're here tonight. Just go ahead and do that right here and not right now. Like, share.
And subscribe.
Yes.
All right. So that's where you can find us. Don't forget, our podcast comes out every Wednesday. A new podcast is delivered. You can go to YouTube and look for Legendary Relationship and find the podcast, or you can search Loving Beyond the I Do. All right. So don't forget, subscribe, like, and follow us. So we want to thank everyone for tuning in
Yeah,
again
thank
today.
you again. Thank you once again.
So, is there any way to see those people from last week that
Nope.
actually liked?
No, there isn't.
So, I think it was
Nope. Don't do that.
called names and don't remember.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So we can't. Somehow we overlooked the likes last week, and we didn't get a chance
But we
to
appreciate you.
call out everyone. So we did acknowledge everyone who made a comment. So if you are watching, please make a comment or hit the like button so that we can see that you are viewing and we can call out your name. All right. So thank everyone for tuning in again today. All right. So today we are talking about attachment styles, and the question of the day is, who's ready? The question of today is, what do you know about attachment styles? All right. So with any relationship, there's so many aspects to us as humans, right? And it's hard to, when you're going into a relationship, to know them all because we've never been taught that. We often just go into a relationship and let it become whatever it becomes. But part of making relationships work is to figure out why it's not working. Why am I not feeling a certain way? How has my background, my experiences made me who I am right now? And how does that affect my mate? And how does that affect our marriage, right? How I do things, how he does things. So part of that is, the phrase attachment style is actually, let me look up a little bit, Jason. Can you? Okay, so actually, the attachment style is a term psychologists use to describe the basic orientation that we start forming in our childhood, right? So our childhood years. This is not to say that our attachment style can't change, because it can.
probably
Sometimes we
will.
change to positively impact ourselves or our relationships. So if we notice something about ourselves that we probably don't like and would like to work on, the first thing is to be able to acknowledge it. Down the other way. Down the other way. All right. So oftentimes we hunger for love and affection in our relationships. And that's because, we grow with this idea of what a relationship is, right? We want to be able to have someone to talk to share our feelings with, to be able to communicate with, to be both romantically and emotionally intimate with. And so sometimes it's hard to do that because we haven't formed those things, so it's hard for us to form a stable relationship or a feeling of stability. So with that, we're today. So you want to go jump in?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So we're talking about. We're
Yeah.
Why don't you give me this? All right. So today we're talking about being able to discover and understand the attachment styles and how you can enhance your relationship. So we're going to be talking about 3 different attachment styles. What are those attachment styles, Jay?
Secure attachment, anxious, and avoidance.
All right. So the 3 main type of attachment styles is secure attachment style, the anxious attachment style, and then the avoidant attachment style. When we talk about the secure attachment style, it's usually dealing with people who are pretty secure who they are, right? They have a high self-esteem. They're pretty confident. They know about themselves. And so you're pretty secure and healthy in your relationship. But however, sometimes what can happen is that people who are not cannot enjoy that healthy lifestyle, which means that you don't know how to encourage yourself. You may not have a high self-esteem. You may not value yourself as a self-worth. Sometimes and people say, well, I may not, it sounds funny when you say it, but there's a lot of people out there who do not feel worthy in relationships. They do not feel worthy of love for whatever reason, right? And so they don't believe that they should be acknowledged for big or small things that they've done in their life. And so the secure attachment style is geared towards helping people to realize that they are worthy of love, that you should get love in a relationship from your partner as well as yourself. And I think last week we talked about that,
Yes, we
the
did.
importance of really self-love. Self-love is the number one thing in any relationship. If you're not loving yourself, then therefore you cannot possibly understand how to receive love or even how to give love, because you have to be able to show that to yourself.
Now the other one is the anxious love.
Right.
The
So,
anxious
anxious attachment style.
Yeah. Now this style, it has a tendency to push people away because you're being too possessive.
Right.
With your feelings, and you just want people around you, right? So anxious attachment styles can be brought or triggered on by stress. Now that affects a lot of people, and it's that unspoken thing. Stress is something that you can't touch or feel, but it will get in the middle of your relationships and the way you interact with people.
Absolutely. Oftentimes when people have the anxious attachment style, means that like he said, you have a tendency of pushing your mate away because they want to be closer than what you want to be. And then what we don't realize is that what happens is that the stresses in our life is what triggers it. And so whenever we're stressing, we have a tendency to misplace or misdirect our anger, which oftentimes is to our mate, right? Which then in turn weakens our relationship, right? Or our bond. And then we wonder why we're not close or we're not experiencing that euphoric relationship that we did when we first got together. And so being able to recognize some of the things that maybe we don't know and we don't know about in our relationships that really play a huge part, that really affect our health, our well-being. And part of that is, everyone knows when you're feeling anxious, that's not something that's a good thing.
No, it's not.
Right? And when you're anxious, you give off a different type of energy, which last week we talked about energy. But when you are calm and secure in your relationship, then it opens up the door and the way for you to be more confident, not only in yourself, but in your relationship. So oftentimes we tell people that may not even know that they're anxious, right? They have anxiety attacks for no reason, or they get easily stressed, or they get easily, like, they go from 0 to 10 in a millisecond.
No time,
Right. So we often tell them, right, some things that can help you first is to recognize it. First, we have to recognize, what type of style we have, and be honest with ourselves, because that's the only way we're going to be able to help our relationship as well as ourselves. And then we have to know our mate's type of attachment style. But the good thing to do is that often listening to some type of soothing music, whatever music, whether it's jazz, whether it's meditation music, whether it's
house music,
water. I know Jason found a new thing on our Alexa app, and he started listening to what is it called? Wow, outside. What is it called?
Oh, nature sounds.
Nature sounds. So I walked in the room, and I'm hearing crickets, and I'm like, the windows are closed. Why does it sound like the crickets are in our room? And so it's
very soothing.
It was very soothing, because I know oftentimes we'll go outside and sit in our backyard, and the crickets are just kind of like, they're with you. So oftentimes being able to control your anxiety, or being aware that you may have an anxious attachment style. If you have a tendency of, when you get upset, you're pushing your mate away instead of communicating and talking. Oftentimes another thing that helps is daily prayer. Just being able to pray and connect with a higher power than yourself, because we don't have all the power. We don't have all the answers. We don't have all, the direction and everything we need at that moment, especially if we're feeling anxious. So being able
Don't
to
forget meditation. To go along with my music.
Absolutely. So and I know Jason and I, we do this in our course, and we stress it a lot about learning and practicing meditation. So a lot of people say, well, I really don't meditate because I don't know how. Meditation is something like anything. The first time you tried to ride a bike, you didn't know how. So meditation is something that's a gradual process, but the benefits are humongous. So if you don't meditate, I would recommend that you start to meditate and just do a little bit at a time, right? Just start small. Don't be so anxious, and people go, well, my mind wanders off. That's okay. If your mind wanders off, just bring it back to you. All right. So do we have any comments, Jace?
No.
Get any likes?
We do.
All right. So
we got one here from Kelly.
All right. Hey, Kelly. And I think you were the one we missed last week. So thank you for tuning in this week, Kelly. We love you and appreciate you. Thank you for everyone else that is also tuning in. And so I'm going to shout out Vicky, because she must not be watching, because normally she would have been the first one by now. I love the various meditation apps. Yes.
Calm
I
is one of them. Yep.
Very good. And one thing about meditation is that you have to work it before you need it. So people often say, well, I don't meditate, and I'm anxious, I'm mad, if we start the practice of meditation, then it helps us to deal with life's triggers. It helps us to deal with life's stresses. So that's one of the hugest things when it comes to meditation, is being able to not only learn about it, but then practice it, but then being able to tap in when you need to, even at a split second, when you're able to calm yourself and think about things that bring you back to your happy place, right?
Yep, and you mentioned one thing. This is something that goes along with our course. This is something that we have in our course. We go over. It's a section dedicated toward that, because we take you from beginning to end, so that you can become a better person, so you can have a better marriage, and you can elevate yourself and elevate your marriage. So this is just some of the tidbits that we have in the course itself.
So if you guys have not, go back to the book, please, Jay. No, not that one, the book. So if you guys have not, we also have a free ebook out there for you guys, for anyone who is looking to spice up the romance in their relationship. And what is the title? It's been so long. I'm sorry. I can't even read it. Awaken the love and intimacy in your relationship. And so it talks about 8 simple ways to get it back, right? So if you have a relationship and it's getting a little stale, or it just becomes, like most people, relationship on cruise control.
Maybe not stale, but it's not as happy as it once was.
or passionate or as
Oh,
intimate.
for sure.
And
Yes.
it's not, we often misconstrue words as meaning, well, well, we're okay.
Yep.
Right? And
I hear that
it's
all the
all
time.
right.
We're okay. Yeah. What does okay
Oftentimes,
mean?
the biggest complaint that I get from women is that they want more intimacy.
Right.
And we discussed one of our other things, talked about that intimacy means lots of different things
Right.
to
We
lots
said
of
that
different
last
people.
week, right? We talked
and
about
the week before
what,
that, and the
what
week
is that-
before that.
Yeah. What does intimacy actually mean?
Right. And so part of being able to recognize the things that you want in a relationship. So last Friday was, why is my mate not giving me what I want? And so when we talk about things, it's either because we don't know, we're not effectively communicating it over to them. Right.
Right.
We talk about these unspoken expectations,
Yep.
or the relationship becomes so ingrained in the
Pattern
pattern and
or
the
program that you're
right.
in
That-
it's just going along.
it's hard to deviate from it.
Right.
So you want something from your mate and you're not getting it, but it's hard to get it because you're stuck in this rut. And so the book helps you to maybe just let's peel some of these layers back in our relationship. Let's get out of this mud and create a new path, right?
Yep.
Let's create a new
Nice,
road to our
clean
relationship, right? So, but getting back to the attachment styles, and so we attach to people in different ways. So the last one that we want to talk about is the avoidance, right?
Yeah.
So the avoidant attachment style is associated with being isolated or emotionally distant, and sometimes. Like I said, these words
this
mean a
is-
lot, and people
Yeah.
sometimes cannot recognize
Right.
themselves because I'm not that. That's not me. But if you ask someone else and they go, "Yeah, that pretty
kind of
much
describes you. Yep. That's you to a
right,
T.
right." So tell us what kind of people are part of the avoidance style, Jason.
Well, come on now. People that have been raised with maybe parents or caregivers that were strict
Mm-hmm.
and emotionally just distant. So, did not tolerate a lot of expression or feelings like that. And as a child, you weren't expected to have much emotional feelings. They wanted you to be independent and maybe tough. You don't show
Don't
your
cry. Right.
Don't
Yeah, suck
show
it
your-
up. Suck it up. You are right.
So if you have a childhood like this, or you coaching your kids to have a childhood like that, it's a higher risk that they may have that avoidant attachment style as they get older, or you may have that style right now where things just don't bother you. You just can't get emotionally involved
Right.
in life or relationships or anything, and I'm just not wired like that. Well, it's because of maybe some of those things. So as adults, you appear like confident and self-sufficient. Things don't, you don't tolerate emotion or emotional, physical intimacy or anything like that. None of that stuff phase you or anything like that. Now, you may be a go-getter at work or, just like I said,
Or
self-sufficient.
even in your relationship, you can be a go-getter, but you just
But you emotionally, you checked out.
Right.
So that's not a healthy way to build a relationship. So you may be protecting your feelings or emotions, but your relationship is paying the price.
and sometimes we often don't even know why we're like
Oh, yeah,
we
for
don't know
sure.
why we are this way. You just go, well, that's just how I do it. I don't get, I avoid being intimate or emotionally, or this is the way I am, and they don't even realize that they are actually there's a separation between them and the relationship and their partner. So it creates a type of environment where one partner is striving to get closer and closer and closer, and then they get frustrated because the other person is like, we're in a relationship. I'm here. We're attached. We're here. But they're not
Right.
seeing that they're actually avoiding because they were raised in a way that says you don't show feelings. You don't let them control you. You portray that you're always in control, that you're confident, that nothing pertains to you. Nothing takes you off your center, right? So we have to be careful when we're doing that and being able to openly communicate about that, right? We have to be able to communicate as couples on a deeper level. Right. So we have to be able to communicate where we can talk about things that really bother us, or truths, a profound level, not that
Surface level
yeah,
stuff.
Yeah.
And you know what? Sometimes this takes some work, right? Especially if you have an avoidance type
Right.
of attachment. I like to call that a detachment, right? So if you have that, it's going to be difficult to have those conversations. So this is something that you're going
Right.
to have to continually work on to open up to get to the point where you can actually have that type of closeness and communication.
And like we said, the first step is actually understanding that there is a such thing as attachment styles. And then figuring out which type am I? What do I have? Do I have the secure attachment style where I am secure with myself and I'm secure with my partner and I don't feel jealous or threatened when another woman walks by or when he's talking to somebody else? Like, where am I? What type of attachment style do I have and how am I portraying that on my partner? Am I confident in myself? Am I possessive? Do I always need to be in control? And it's so funny because oftentimes people joke about, well, I need to be in control. Well, I can't do this if I'm not in control. And they joke about it, but that's really
That's an attachment
being,
style.
compulsively needing to be in control. And oftentimes some people don't recognize it like the other ones. That's an issue. Sometimes we don't, if you feel as though you can't function without being in control, that should be an issue. That should be a red flag for you to say, where did I get this from and why do I need to be in control all the time? So once we accept who we are and what type of attachment style we have, then we can move forward into saying, okay, well, what type of attachment style does my mate have? How does that coincide with mine? How does that repel against it? How are we in unison? What can I do? But the biggest thing about knowing your partner's attachment style is that it helps your relationship thrive. So what do you say that it does, Jason?
Well, you have to play off of each other's strengths and weaknesses in that.
Right.
So and then it takes away from, making false assumptions. If you understand that your partner's style, then you don't have to worry about, well, why are you acting this way? It's like, if you understand their style, it's like, oh, okay, well, they act this way or this is how they are and we need to work through this. So some things you need to work through at that particular time. So, and when you do that, it helps you to feel more secure in the areas where you need to work. So if you can do understand which attachment style you have, then as you working through them, you don't have to have false assumptions, and you won't take things personally, because that's the first thing we do. We take things personally, and it may not be directed at you.
Right.
So
right.
once we
don't know how not to.
Right. If once we understand about the attachment, then we can better assess us strength with weaknesses, feel better and work together, understand, and we feel secure as we continue to work on these different attachment styles. Then we can go to openly communicate. Now, that is very hard to do, I want to say. It's challenging, right? Because that's a buzzword now. Open, communicate openly,
Right.
A lot of times we say that, but we don't know we don't communicate openly, right? So it's a process, right? So you have to understand and get to that point.
That's true.
Yeah, so because when you get to that point, now you're talking about deeper truths, allowing each other to get closer at a profound level, like Tina was saying. Not that surface level stuff.
Right.
Being respectful, honest, take things gradually. Don't think that you're going to come out of the gate and just be like, we're going from here to here, right? Give me the attachment styles. This is what it is. We're going to move on and we're going to do it. Nope, you got to take it easy, right?
And again, we go back to don't play the blame game.
Yeah.
But if we understand, if we understand our partner's background, if we understand our partner's faults, if we understand our partner's strengths and weaknesses and we play into them instead of against them, it makes the relationship stronger. If we understand how to assess our compatibility, how are we alike? How are we different? Why are we different? Why do we look at things different? Why do you need to be so clingy and you need to be so distant? So part of that is understanding where we stand as people, because even though we talk about opposites attract, things that are alike attract also.
Right,
so
like attracts like.
Right. So there's, you like, okay, so what's right? Do opposites attract or do like attract like?
Yep,
both.
both.
So this is all in the area of relationships. And this is where that buzzword comes in. Work. People say, well, I don't want to be in a relationship if it has to work. Everything we do requires work.
You're not going to be in a relationship if there's no work.
You're not going to be in anything,
Yeah.
right? You can't get money if you don't work. You're not going to stay healthy. Your body's not going to stay if you don't work. Your house is not, or your whatever you live in, your apartment is not going to stay looking neat and clean if you don't do the work. Right. And so people go, I don't want to work when it comes to relationship. And the problem is that when you first get into a relationship, because you're in that infatuation stage, that there is no work, right? It's just all
You're
getting to know each other.
exploring each other.
But once you get married, once you get anything, once something has your name on it, now you have to work at it. And the work doesn't have to be hard. It just has to be intentional, and you have to know what you need to do so that the work is easy, right? It's not hard. It's just, it's not very hard to do. You just know how to do it. It's simple, but intentional. So you have to know where and how your relationship can thrive in areas that you may not even know about. And this is what we're trying to do. We're trying to educate couples on the things that they have not been taught. And I know that you haven't been taught, because before I got into this field, I wasn't taught. I didn't know about that, right? And
work.
so there's a lot of things we hear about, like Jason said, about communication, right? Oh, well, communication is key. Yes, it is key, but if you don't know how to effectively communicate, then there is no key. Everybody's getting locked out. All right. So my girl is back. Let me see. All right.
Yeah.
Hey,
Hello,
Earl and
Vicky.
Vicky. I don't know if you heard Vicky, but I gave you a shout out. I was like, you must not be tuned in because you're normally the first one. All right. Welcome back, Vicky and Earl, or Earl and Vicky. Welcome back to both of you. Part of marriage is learning each other's ways. Absolutely. But sometimes we don't even know our own way.
Right.
So we learn our partner's ways and we tell them, and the problem is most of the time we tell them in a very negative way instead of a positive way, and then they can't accept it. So let's bring the question back up for the day for those of you guys who may have missed the question of the day. So what do you know about attachment styles? So has anyone out there who's viewing heard about attachment styles? And if you have, what do you know about it? What are your thoughts on attachment styles?
Oh, which one out of the three did you fall into?
Well, first they got to know about them.
Okay.
If they know
All
about
right.
them, let's see what they know.
All
Does
right.
anybody?
Yeah, see if they
So
know.
has anyone heard of the such thing as attachment styles?
Yeah.
So we're going to wait for you. So as we talk, just as Vicky said, learning your mate, but sometimes your mate needs to learn themselves because we are gradually changing. And sometimes I know for myself, I can only speak for myself. I know oftentimes I do things that I've just always done them. And it wasn't until I got older that I realized, like, I don't really like that about myself. Right? And no one has to.
That's a truth assessment, right?
Right.
True.
That's what we have to do.
You know, a lot of times we're not that truthful with ourselves.
Because we want to blame our partner, right?
Exactly.
So oftentimes I had to sit back and say, like, what was my part in this? Why do I get upset at this? Or why do I react that way? Or why does he react when I do this? Or why every time I say something or do something, his reaction is this? So it must be something that I'm sending out. So part of learning your mate is part of learning yourself, because the things that I used to like, I don't like anymore, right?
Yeah. I think this is part of developing and growing.
And so we have to, this thing called life, we have to continue to evolve and know who we are and who our mate is. Just like we change, our mate changes. And that's where being understanding of what type of attachment style do I have, and why do I have it, and how did I get it, and do I like it, and do I need to change it, right? Do I need to become something better, or do I need to be, or am I good, or do I need to understand my mate so that I can understand where they're coming from and how they're thinking, and so that I'm not taking things personally, and then things that are small now become blown out of proportion, they become huge.
And you said something earlier. You said a lot of changing going on, right? So I'm changing, you're changing, and now the relationship is changing. So there's three things that are changing at one time, just affecting everybody in the relationship, the both of you, right? So just think about that. So when you take on this and you start to, change, there's a lot of changing you, them, and the relationship.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And that's a lot to navigate, right?
It is, because when you change, then I'm gonna be like, wait a minute, he changed, and I'm gonna have to change the way I act towards you, right?
You have to change to my change.
Right.
And
Right.
then
I gotta change to my change.
Right. And then now we got to change to the relationship change. Right?
Absolutely.
So that's why I said it's just a lot of changing going on
Right.
with that.
Right. A lot of changing. And one thing about change, like we said before, is that whenever you decide to change something, that's when all of those
that's
norms.
when the testimony starts to come.
That's when all the norms say, whoa, wait a minute. I've always been like this. That's when the universe and the energies around you go, well, who said something? Who did something?
Right.
Well, who's changing?
Who upset the apple cart? Let's go back and put this thing back together.
Right. So let's go back. So we have any comments, Jay?
No.
Let's go back here.
Yep.
So So I would take it that none of you if guys have heard about the attachment style. So like I said before, there are three types of attachment styles, and the first one is a secure attachment style where we are secure with ourselves, we're secure with our mate, we're secure in our relationship, and we usually have healthy relationships going forward because we have a healthy ideal about ourselves. We have a healthy self-esteem. And so then we're talking about that was the first one, and the second one was the
Anxious.
anxious. The anxious attachment style, where we're kind of like sometimes people are a little anxious and they don't know why, and they're usually push people away because they don't know, they want you closer but they don't know how. So they have a tendency of pushing their mate away when stress overcomes them, or they misdirect or redirect or indirect their anger, right? So they're triggered by the stresses, and then that stresses then affects the relationship and how they handle it. And so because they have that type of anxious attachment style, that their response is, I'm going to push you away instead of turning to you for you to help me get through this, or for you to help, for us to communicate openly, or for us to talk about it. They have a tendency of pushing their mate away.
Do you think like people to say, "Hey, look, I'm high strong, I'm high energy," right? Is that part of anxious attachment?
Probably.
I mean, but it's a good excuse, right? It's something that we can use, right?
Yeah.
And we quick to use that.
Yeah, we
and
are.
say,
We are.
I'm this way because I'm just high strong, right? So
Yeah. And so, but the thing is that if they recognize it, then it helps you to recognize how to handle it.
if you don't use it as a crutch.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely,
Right,
absolutely.
yeah. If you're using it to benefit yourself and to make your relationship better, yes, but don't use it as a crutch. Like, oh, they're that way because they're high strung, so you just have to accept them that way.
And then our last one was the avoidance attachment style.
Yep.
And so when we talk about the avoidance attachment style, it's that person that has been raised to not show feelings. Their parent was very stern and, okay, suck it up. You don't have to cry. So you were taught not to really fall into the ball of being in touch with your feelings, right? So when you grow up, you have that demeanor of, I'm confident, I'm self-assured,
Yep. And I don't need anybody, right?
but I'm
not
detached from my mate because I have detached myself from emotional intimacy. I have attached myself from physical intimacy because those things make me weak, right? So being able to understand why people react the way they do to certain situations, how we're triggered, why we respond and react to certain instances, and we just may not understand it. So being able to, like, these are part of the barriers when we talk about breaking down barriers in marriage. These are the barriers that prevent us from getting to that happily ever after.
Yep.
Right? We encounter problems. We don't know why. It turns into arguments. Now we stop communicating. We stop having sex. We stop trying. And then we just walk away from each other. Mm-hmm. The problem is that these are the barriers. If we can understand why our mate does what they do, why they think the way they do, and why do I think the way I do, right? Mm-hmm. So I know even with parents, even as a parent, right? Sometimes we handicap our kids, and we don't
we're trying
know.
to give them everything out of love. We try to give them everything. We want them not to struggle in life, but is that the best way to do it?
Right. So, and the thing is, if you don't know, you don't know. Right. So that's why we're bringing these issues up, because the more you know, the more you grow, the more your blessings flow. All right. So being able to recognize. So let's see if anyone said that they this. What did Vicky say? Seeking contact and relationship to seek love, support, and comfort in others. Absolutely, Vicky. Yep. Yeah. So when we marriage is such a very funny thing because we're not taught how to navigate marriage.
Yep.
We're not taught how to navigate two different individuals. They always say become one. No, the key is to join as one, but still be two individuals. I can't expect Jason to become me, and he can't expect me to become him. We have to be two strong individuals in our relationship in order for it to work. But if we have differences, we have to understand what those differences are and how to work through them. Not just throw our hands up and walk out the door. Divorce should not be an option, right? right? So, and
Not if you all in. If you all in on the relationship, divorce shouldn't be an answer.
well, when I say divorce shouldn't be an option, I mean like that's
I
choice
know a lot
number
of people
one.
go there
Right,
first, right? And
right,
then, right. It's like you already have 1 foot halfway out the door anyway,
right.
Situation come up, you deal with it. You just deal with the situation. If you're totally invested into this marriage, that's what you do. You just work on it, right?
And I truly
you have
believe.
to. I mean, like I think. Well, I don't mean to
Go
cut
ahead.
you
Mhm.
off. I just think that if you're committed to a cause or the relationship yourself, you can work through just about anything, right? I know some people have deal breakers and things of that nature. That's fine, but instead of running from a situation and sitting down and say, "Look, I know this is difficult. This is nothing that I planned because we don't always plan for things like that to come up in our lives in our relationship, but I'm willing to work through this. I can give my all to, fixing this issue. If you do that, we can get past a lot of things. Understand why. Why did it happen? What did I misunderstand you, or did I have different ideas about marriage than you did, and I expected you to do this and you didn't. Now I'm upset. So it's just it goes on and on. But if I say that I'm committed to this cause and I'm willing to work on it, then I think we can get through a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I think that part of the issues in marriage is that we're not taught how to actually navigate those issues. Instead of when we come to a roadblock, we just come to a dead end or the cliff, we just jump over. We're not really taught about things to look out for, right? Things to prevent. Really, truly breaking apart all the intricacies of marriage and understanding, how do we operate as individuals and how can we cooperate together, right? So just marriage is one of those things that it can be absolutely fantastic when it's in those stages where everything is going great. And then it is absolutely just stressful and just you just like you ready to give up. It's like it doesn't matter what anybody says. There's no looking. Nope, this is it.
But
and so,
but after you had a few battle scars, you come out stronger, right?
you do,
right?
You do. I truly believe that. I truly believe that. I know from personal experience,
exactly.
from our battle scars that we've gone through,
exactly.
It has really made our marriage stronger.
Right.
There was times when I just knew that the war was over, and then when we came out, there was no winner, no loser, but we actually were able to work through a very challenging situation. It has made our marriage so much stronger.
I believe this. It was one winner, and the winner was the relationship.
All right, there you
neither
go.
one of us won, but the relationship
Well,
won.
we both won.
Yeah, right, because the relationship won.
Right.
So Lanice checked in. Saying,
Hey, Lanice Lightning.
Hey, family. Hey, what's going on?
Hello, good Friday to you.
All right, well, let's see what Lanice...
She says you have to want to get into those barriers.
Oh,
Absolutely.
my goodness. Yes, you do.
Yes, yes.
You do.
Yep, that's very, very true. Very true. What did she say? That's the key, Jason. Be willing.
You do. And that's on both sides.
And that's why if we understand,
we can't be looking. We can't be looking to skate at the first sign of problems, right? You just man up. I'm just speaking from a man's perspective because I know it best, right? So,
man up,
right? So you just have to kind of man up and be like, hey, look, we can get past this. We can work on this. We can fix this, right? If I'm willing, not looking to say, you know what, this happened. You spent too much money and or whatever, and it's like now I'm mad at you. No, okay, look, this is what happens. What happened? Let's go ahead and rectify this. And if I rectify it, we don't have to deal with this again. And now we might start to have a conversation about purchases and things that we weren't having before. So now we're coming out stronger.
And like we talked about, right? Change, when everything changes. If our relationship changes into the negative direction, remember that's a change. Mm-hmm. And so we're not the same people we were when we were loving each other. Mm-hmm. So that's a change. Yep. And in order to change back, we have to be willing to do some things that we're not doing. And that is the change. We have to be willing to do some things that we're not doing. And fussing and arguing and negative emotions, that's not going to create change. Those barriers have to be something that we both tackle. As Jason has said before, the issue is not you against me. The issue is you and me against the issue. If I'm in this and I know, sometimes we say the love is lost. It's only lost because you decided to put it somewhere, throw it somewhere. But if you truly care about your mate and you know that you still have feelings for them, then I think the possibilities are endless. I really do.
I do too.
So Lanice says a lot of people think that they're wrong about something, that they are a bad person, and that causes a person to be defensive. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yep. Yeah. And
again, we're working on ourselves, right? And self development. So like I said, it's a lot of change going on. It's you, them, and then the relationship.
and the issues and all the issues. There's so much
Right.
going on. There's so many dynamics. So let's see what Kelly says. All right, Kelly, as a result of various attachment styles, I have navigated through these with the help of counseling. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I choose to understand myself, dig in deep by doing continuous self-checks. Yes.
Yeah.
Key point.
Yep.
Beginning in my 20s, I embrace change and love the continuous transformations. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I enjoy healthy communication results and beautiful personal growth.
go.
We couldn't have said it better. I
Yep.
need to take that and put it in my book.
Yep.
Absolutely. All those things are important. Definitely. And one thing I can say about that, Kelly, is that you realize that it begins with you.
Yep.
And if we can just get that, if we could stop trying to point the finger. I do it the right way. He does it the wrong way. She does it the wrong way. If we realize that if we do self-work, and the key word Kelly used there was transformation.
Yep.
We have to continue to evolve. We have to transform from who we were to who we want to be. And it's not a one-stop shop. So when we talked about you guys downloading our free ebook, we said don't just download it.
Right.
Don't
Use
just
it.
read it.
Use it.
Just, I said humor us. Try some of these things. Try and see if any of these things help you to laugh more, to feel grateful, to have a lighter heart, to look at issues in a different perspective, right? The thing is that you can't continue in the same direction doing the same thing you've always done, which most of the time in relationship, we just hit the cruise control button. And then when we get to a certain point where we're unhappy, then we want to start finger pointing and arguing and being upset and having these unspoken expectations.
Or you start to dismiss the other person.
Yes.
That's that person. They always like that.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think that's just as bad when you don't even engage with the person.
Okay, so we have a Facebook user. So Lanice says, that's right, Kelly. Go up.
got
Yep,
it,
right
babe.
there. Okay. So Lanice says, that's right, Kelly.
Yep,
So
for sure.
absolutely, Kelly was dead
Spot
on.
on that one. Yep.
Then we have a Facebook user that says
Yep,
hi. So
yep.
I don't know. Click on that so they
Yeah, I
can
don't
see.
know. I don't know,
Click on
sure.
themselves. So this says Facebook user. So whoever the Facebook user is, it just says Facebook user. And if you
not sure.
sent a hand, then put a name out there so we can say hey to you. Thank you for
Yeah.
tuning in. We have Rita Lindsay. Hey family.
Hey,
Hello
what's going?
Rita. Thank you for joining us Friday.
Yeah.
TGIF everyone. Thank you for tuning in. And then the Facebook user says yes.
Yes.
And then
Kelly says absolutely.
absolutely. That's right. We have to transform. We have to
Tina.
change. We have to do the self-work. Lanice says, yes, Tina, that's the part. Yep. That part. Absolutely. Absolutely. Kelly said, my life toolbox. Yep.
It's full.
Yes.
Yep.
I use the tools often.
Yep.
And
And
it
you
can
should.
only make you a better person for yourself, not for your mate.
Right.
Because when you get to that place where Kelly is truly loving and accepting Kelly, then that true mate will attract to you, and you don't need to try to be anything
Nope.
other than who Kelly is. And
You-
that's the problem. We got to stop trying to be something else. And then when we get this mate, we're that other person. And then we start changing into ourselves, or the true person come out and they like, well, and then that's where all the problems start. Well, you
you know
didn't
what?
show up who you were.
Well, by Kelly fixing herself and using all these tools, she just fixed one half of her relationship
Absolutely.
right there. So, you only have a little bit more to go, right? So you change, your relationship change, your view on your relationship change. Now all you got to do is find someone that aligns with that change and what you're actually looking for.
Not only that, but Kelly, you said your toolbox was full. Guess what? All those tools that you're using, when you get married, or, because I don't think you're married, right, Kelly? So when you get married, that's something that you can share with your spouse.
Yep.
Right? So now you have not only the tools that you used, but hey, you like, Hey baby, I got you. I got this tool. I got this tool. You
Yep.
can open up your toolbox and say,
Yep.
pick one.
Yep. It's like the phone company say, "Oh, we got an app for that." Yep. Yep. For
All
sure.
right. Mia Miller says, hello, fam. Hello,
Hey.
Mia. Thank you for checking in. All right.
Yeah, she said she wasn't. Kelly said no, she's not. Okay.
Okay, right,
Yep.
right. So when you get married or decide to get married or be in that relationship, you can eat when your mate is telling you about issues that you know you've already worked on,
Right.
you're gonna be like, hey,
Oh,
look, baby.
I got something in my toolbox. Let me go
that-
grab this.
that's
out.
right. That's right.
Yeah, we can take care of that right now. Yep.
What does the Kelly say? I'll be ready with my tools.
There
That's
you go.
right.
Yep.
That's right.
Yep.
And guess what? They're going to love you for it. And it's going to make your relation so much easier.
Yeah, it
so
will.
much easier. But part of that is that part of relationships, if I cannot stress this enough, part of relationships is that we have to be able to understand ourselves and our mate. And as Lenise said, we got to tackle those barriers together. We got to
Yeah.
be willing to tackle them. It can't be me and the barrier, and then Jason sitting over there letting me do all the work. It's
Right.
not going to
No,
work.
that's
If
not
we're
gonna work.
both invested in this relationship, then both of us have to be invested in the time, energy, and effort that it takes to make it work.
Yeah, that's funny. That's so true. You know, sometimes one person goes out and it's like, I'm going to change. I'm going to make my relationship better. That's a start, but the other person has to participate in that too. That's how you make your relationship better. Remember, it's 3 parts to it. It's you, them, and then the relationship.
We have to continue to. I hope because we have to continue to work on our relationships in a way that we work on our wardrobes, we work on our hair, we work on our looks, we work on our
Oh,
cars.
some of these relationships should be in some pretty good shape because I know they work on those. So
So just being able to recognize. So Kelly said,
yes.
"That's right." So you got some tools, Kelly. All right.
Yeah,
so
I like that.
so guys, let's not take problems as the last. Like that's the last.
Right, that's
word.
a start. Let's give you something to work towards. I mean, something to work on to make your relationship better. You know what? Normally, when issues show up, it shows you where you're a little deficient in your relationship.
Absolutely.
And
If we
you-
take the time to evaluate
right,
it. Mm-hmm.
and if we fix those deficiencies, our relationship becomes stronger. You know, just like water on the floor under the sink, you got a problem. You got a leak somewhere. If you fix the leak, the flow from the faucet becomes even stronger because it's not going,
not
spewing
leak-
out. Right. So it's the same
Good
thing.
example, baby.
If
That's
you
a
want
good
to,
example.
thank you very much. Right. I fixed enough stuff in my days. So you have to work on that. It just shows you an area that may be weak or deficient. So let's work on that area and make our relationship stronger.
So I'm going to add to that. So,
Mm-hmm.
right. So I come in the kitchen and there's water on the floor and I'm like, oh, okay, it's water on the floor. And I just ignore it.
Yep.
That's the problem in our marriage. That's what we do. We see a problem and we just ignore it. Instead of figuring out, catching it when it starts, we wait until the whole house is flooded and then
Right.
we go, wait a minute.
Now I
There's
now I
a
have to
leak. There's
replace
a
the-
problem.
right. I have to replace
now
the
it's too late.
floors
No,
and
no,
everything
now,
else.
now I'm just
Right.
ready to tear down the house and walk away.
Yep.
Right. So let's be aware of those things in our relationship. The small things, because small things become big things, and big things become huge things, and then huge things just take on legs and life of its own, and then the relationship is over where two people really still love each other, but they just don't know how to get back to that. So we're trying to get there. We're trying to keep marriages off of cruise control. Trying to tackle these things that every couple tackles. There, like we said, there's nothing new under the sun. And so I'm pretty sure there's nothing in any one of your relationships that Jason and I have not encountered, right? It may not, but if I haven't, I'm sure there's another couple that
Sure,
has,
sure.
because we're all in this together. We're
Right.
all trying to navigate relationships. So we think that it only happens in our relationship.
Yeah, that's not the case. That's why we're here.
Part of the knowledge and the education in educating each other is to communicate with each other that we're all going through the same struggle. So we're here to help each other. We're here to educate, because knowledge is power. And if you take that power and that knowledge and you apply it in your relationship, it can't help but be better.
And that's how you flourish. You take what you know, put it into your relationship, and it's going to grow. Then once it grows, I mean, what you have between you is just going to be awesome. You just take what you have. You love the person. You express that. You do what you can for your relationship, and your relationship grows. That's how this thing goes. It just doesn't happen. People say, "Oh, I just love you all's relationship." Well, it takes work and effort and time and
Intention.
and energy and just
Putting
attention.
down, putting down self,
Putting
right?
down
That self ego
Right. You know,
for the higher the good of both of us.
for the relationship. So it's a lot of
Absolutely.
things like, okay, this may be something that I want, but it may not be good for the relationship, right? So if it's better for the relationship, maybe we should do what's better for the relationship.
Or just like I said before, things that I recognized about myself that I didn't think was very beneficial to me, and definitely wasn't very beneficial in my relationship. Right? Being able to recognize that, being able to be honest with myself, and sometimes we cannot. And when our mate is honest with us, we don't want to accept it. Like Lenny said, we want to be defensive. We like, wait a minute, hold up. Well, what about what you do?
Yeah,
and it's not
that's the
about
wrong
that.
thing
It's
to
not
do.
about
Yeah.
that. If your mate comes to
Yeah.
you and he's telling you something or she's telling you something, we're always on the defensive side. Like and that's where in another part of our course we talk about being able to have a safe space where we can talk about things like that, because that is a big issue. That is a huge issue in relationships, being able to be open with each other and being mature enough to accept your faults, not try to point out somebody else's, right? And so we talk about getting through those things and how to get through them effectively, because there's times that I would say something to Jason and it just wouldn't get through to him. And so
Oh, it got through. Probably not the way you intended it to get through to me, but the way that I received it the way that I received it.
And so I was like, okay, I have to find a different way of communicating. And so that's where our journey began on, okay, where are we getting lost in translation?
Yeah.
I'm trying to say this, and this is what you're hearing.
Right.
And the same thing, he would say things to me, and I would get upset, and he's like, whoa, that's not even where I was coming from.
Right.
So just being able to really, really effectively communicate where we can have a safe space. We have to feel safe enough to share. And if you don't feel, if you're distant and you're not intimate and you're not connected and you don't know how, you're not going to be able to share how you truly feel, right? We're not going to be able to get the connection back. Nancy Smith said, thanks as usual for the gems. All right.
Thank you so much, Nancy.
Thank you. All right. And let's see what Kelly says. Kelly says, I love the work.
Yes.
Don't make the work out to be a scary, unattainable thing. Yes, but a desirable, exciting opportunity to be our best selves. Absolutely, Kelly. Expanding love and friendship on the highest level. Absolutely. Absolutely. Kelly in the flow today, huh?
Isn't
Vicky,
she?
Vicky
Yep.
Kelly in the flow. What?
Yeah,
Normally
she
Vicky. Kelly in the flow
She
today.
letting it ride. That's it.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so let's take all this knowledge and wisdom and let's not keep it to ourselves. When we have girlfriends or daughters or family members, nieces and nephews and cousins, whoever, guys too, right?
Yeah.
Let's share this information because
they need it.
Yes, because if we have some gems that we can pass on to help somebody else's relationship to be better, let's do it. You know, this is not something we need to keep to ourselves. Part of the experience is helping other people to navigate through relationships, especially in this younger generation. They're like, relationships are so difficult. They're just complicated. The reason why they're complicated is because you're complicating them. You're trying to put your issues on the issues of the relationship, or you're doing things that you know don't feel good to you and your soul, and then you wonder why the relationship doesn't work. So just being able to be honest with ourselves, male as well as females.
Oh, that's
you know,
everybody.
let's
Just to be
step up
honest.
to the game.
Yep.
Let's step up and take responsibility for
Take
the things
ownership.
that we're doing. Yes.
Own your own stuff. Here,
That's right.
Right.
That's
this is
right.
What this is about.
Smell it, and if it smell like you, it's your poo. Don't that you're like, nope, that's your poo. I know what it smell like. Own your own.
For sure.
You get pulled up,
Yeah.
babe.
I got it. Okay, so you can't read that.
That's
part.
right.
Okay, yeah.
All right.
Yeah, about that.
So our Facebook user says, yes, all right, this show helps me. All right. And so Facebook user,
And can you give us your name? Because I'm not
unless
sure.
you don't want to. And if
Right.
you don't want to, that's fine too. We just want to let you know that it says Facebook user.
Yeah, and that
All
is
right.
deep.
Absolutely.
Yep. And that's what we aim to do. Listen, we're always going to bring you content that's going to benefit you in your relationship. One, personally, two, for the relationship. So, or the relationship that you're seeking. So if you're not married, then take it, store it.
That's right.
Because you will need it. Trust me. And if you see that your relationship may not be going in the direction you want it to go, moving towards marriage, then here's some things that you need to work on, right? And then it's all about the different stages you are in your marriage. People relate longevity or years of marriage with success, not necessarily. Okay, so just because I've been married 20 years doesn't mean I've had 20 years of bliss, and just because I'm here in the 20th year don't mean I'm happy and we're moving in this same direction.
Right.
So don't people always leave with that. Oh, I've been married 20 years. Well, where's your husband? I've never seen him or whatever. It's like, well, he's always out doing his own. We're never really together. Well, is that really a marriage? So spend some
You
time
stepping on
together.
toes, baby. You stepping on toes. You stepping on
might
toes, baby.
But I want them to be able to understand it's not just years because I've been married. And, I always ask people when they tell me about you, I say, well, how many of them have been happy?
And the problem is,
and that's the thing. So, yeah, we've been married, but are we really happy? These are the things
and are we
that make
striving?
you happy.
Are we striving
Right.
to be happy?
Because I know before we got into this, and this has been years, right? Before we got into this, we didn't know. Right? We just knew we needed to get married, and we got married, right? And we know we're going to have some kids. We have some kids, we buy a house, get a car, and that's it. It's about time to retire. So after the first or second kid, we're looking towards retirement because there's nothing else to do after that, right? We might do a little traveling and things of that nature. But there's so many other things that we need to focus on, personal development, the relationship, to make the life better. That space in between from the time we get married to the time we maybe get to retirement or whatever, we want to have fun in that time. We want it to be joyful, right? This is the stuff that we're working on here. How to be joyful in a relationship, and how to love your mate, how to love your relationship, and how to make it grow.
Absolutely. So when we talk about some of the things that so put it back up so we can see it.
Yeah.
So when we talk about the things that we share with you on this show, oftentimes you may not be at that point in your relationship, right? Mm-hmm. But the thing is that learn it anyway, because there's going to come a time when you go, man, I already know that. Like Kelly mm-hmm. has her tools, so she's ready and prepared for anything. That's what we're talking about. There's a saying that says, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear.
Right.
And so I know, when we get to a certain point in our relationship, if you have this knowledge, it's easier for you to navigate. Right. But if you don't have, you say, well, I'm not at that point, I don't need that. Then when you get there, you're not going to know how to overcome it.
I'm going to tell you something. It's easier to build a house or work on a car or anything when you have the tool, right? So a situation comes up, you can go and grab that tool. If you don't have that tool to grab, then you just have to deal with that situation.
Just stuck on the side of the road.
You'd be stuck on the side of the road with a flat, and you don't have a jack or a spare tire in there. You see how that feels. But it's a different story when you can go and fix that and get back on the road and start moving.
With no problem. All right.
That was Mark.
Yeah. So.
Hey, Mark. Thanks for checking us out, little cuz.
I'm not sure what does that. Yeah. Mark, your little cousin.
Yeah.
So Mark is my cousin. He's not little anymore.
Yeah.
He's a big grown man with, I think, 6 kids and a wife. And so, Mark, you make sure you guys are navigating that thing called marriage over there.
Yep.
And you're making your wife the priority and not the kids. Oftentimes when we have kids, our whole goal is to put them right, set them up, and that is a goal. Mm-hmm. But we have to make sure that our relationship is intact first, because we want to be the first example and the best example for our kids of what a healthy relationship looks like. So you make sure you stay on point with that, all right?
Oh, we see. We know you tried. You're doing good there. Yep, you're doing good, Mark.
So Lanice says, "Keep it real, Jason." That's right. Yeah. That's right.
So I'm gonna get up off the toes, though, Lanice. I won't step on them too much. But we're passionate about this.
So what did Mark say? His little faces.
Oh yeah, this is his face. Yeah, that's it.
All right, that's right. That's right. They ain't little. That's right. Yeah. So we got kids, and he said, "I'm trying." You missed Mark's comment. Nope. Okay. All right. So Kelly says, "Build brick by brick together as a team. Those bricks can and will get heavy. Yep. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Our mates can help take up the slack when life gets heavy. Yes. Take a break. I got this for now. Love, support, and sacrifice. Absolutely."
And that says a lot right there. So sometimes we are not equally at the same point, right? So that's a beautiful point that Kelly made. She said, "I got it at this point.
Right.
I can do the heavy lifting right here." And that's good. Everybody needs to take the lead once in a while, and there's nothing wrong with that. When you have someone that says, "Look, I got your back. We struggling, but I think this is my strength.
That's right.
I can hold it down for right now.
Absolutely.
Cool. Take the lead on this situation, please." And then, like I said, I can relinquish the power because I'm not supposed to solve all the issues being the man. Society says I'm supposed to be strong and I'm supposed to fix everything, but that's unrealistic in today's world, in past worlds too. but really, I mean, like, so you can't. If we live in by society rules, we're going to be messed up,
Absolutely.
and a lot of us are messed up because of that. I'm telling you, if your wife leads in a particular area and she has strength, let her take that lead and let her go ahead and move this relationship forward. Then, if it comes a point where you're the lead, then you lead. Sometimes you both are the lead and you both can knock down the situation. But that's an excellent point there, Kelly.
Let's go up right there. Yep. Down. Yep, right there. Right there.
I got
Yep.
down.
Okay. No. So blue skies. Hey, checking in 100. That's right. We're trying to keep it 100.
Yeah.
What did she say? It's always better to have and not need to use than not have them and need them. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I was talking to my sister the other day, Sherry, and she said that my mom used to always tell her it's better
to names.
Yep, that's my sister, Sherry.
Okay.
So she told me that my mom used to tell her it's better to have something and not need it than to need something and not have it.
Yep.
Amen. Shout out to the wisdom that goes on years and years and years that we can do. All right, let's take this next question so we can get out of here. And so Lenise says, but that's real. I feel the same way. We've been married 25 years and I'm proud of that. But I'm more proud that we are happy. Yes, proud that you're able to lead when you need to lead. He's able to lead when he's able to lead. So going back to what Kelly was saying, there was a thing a while ago that said, how heavy is this cup? Mm-hmm. Right. So this is the issues in your marriage. How heavy is the cup? And so the point is that you can say 8 ounces, 6 ounces, 4 ounces. It doesn't matter how much the cup weighs. It's how long you hold it. So that's the issues in our marriage. How long are you holding on to that issue determines how heavy it's going to become. If I have an issue and and Jason and I are tackling it, I can hold this cup for 2 minutes and guess what? It's not that heavy. But if I'm holding this cup for an hour, for 2 hours, for a year, for 6 years, and I'm still carrying around this cup, guess what? That cup is so heavy that we're not going to be able to make it because we're not tackling the cup. We're tackling each other. Right. So let's make sure that we understand that the barriers are something that we overcome, not the barriers overcome us. All right. So let's stay on that. So let's get the next thing. Yep, and we thank you guys for your comments so much. And again, if there's anything that you guys would like for us to address or tackle, please let us know. We will do our best to give you the best information, the best advice, the best statistics, and the best tools that you can put in your toolbox. All right. So what does Lenise say?
Yeah. Thank you again,
That's
Jason.
true again, Jason.
Yep.
All right, Lenise. So Blue Sky, yes, my auntie said that.
Yep, she sure did.
Yep, absolutely. All the time. And I used to always, she said, say it. So, all right, thank you, Blue Sky. And then the Facebook user said.
Yeah, that's Mark.
All right, Mark said.
Okay.
All right.
Yep.
All right. And then Kelly says, spot on. All right. And then Vicky, our girl Vicky chimes in at the end and she say, we are kind of quiet today, but due to praying for our brother who is in surgery now. Okay, so our prayers go out to Vicky and Earl's brother who was in surgery. All of our prayers, our energies are with you. Yeah. May God direct the surgeons and everything else, and everything is in divine order. All right?
Yes.
All right, so our Facebook user says...
That's Mark.
Right, I can call him Facebook user. Mark says, thank you. These gems I need because I be ready to give up.
Hey, listen. But you know what? It's funny. You're not alone.
You're not. You're not. Absolutely. Yeah. Mark, guess what? You're just one of millions who have walked out and said, I'm through. But guess what? You still trying. Don't give up. It gets better when you realize the things that you need to do, because oftentimes it's not your fault. We have not been educated in how to make relations work, how to understand our mate, how to understand their needs, how to understand our needs, and how to have our needs met. Because what happens is that when we feel unsatisfied, we start doing things that we don't know why we do it, because we really want our mate, but then we're doing things that we're looking outside of ourselves for the answers. And so we have to realize, where do I get the answers from? How do I apply to my marriage? And how do me and my mate continue to get this battle? How do we continue to move up and not backwards? So Vicky says, thank you so much. All right. You're welcome, Vicky.
You're welcome, Vicky.
And so, guys, I think that, so Kelly says, continuous prayers to Vicky and family. Yes. Thank you, Kelly.
Yep.
All right. So guys.
So again, this is the wonderful thing about, the Friday night and being live.
In a community.
We want to send all of our love and our prayers to Vicky because...
You gonna get it out or
what? I'm trying to get it out. I'm trying to get it out. So I just want everyone to be able to say a prayer for the family tonight. Everything goes well and recovery goes well and speedy recovery. So and that's what the family does, right? We pray for one another and we lift up each other up in prayer. So I'm just asking the community if you could do that for us. We would greatly appreciate it.
Yes.
When one or two gather in prayer, he's
when two or more are gathered in my name, I am in the midst of them.
I'm in the midst of them. Yes. Yeah.
All right. He's having brain surgery. Oh, wow. Okay. All right. So you definitely our prayers with you, with him, with the family. Keep the consciousness that everything is in divine order.
Yes.
Fear is false emotions appearing real. We know that the power of prayer works. So make sure that all of your thoughts and energy are in positive, knowing that everything is in divine order. All right. Lanice says prayers to Vicky and her family. Thank you, Lanice. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for your prayers. Yes. And so it is. We pray with you, Vicky, and our love and our energy is with you. Yes. So, guys, I think that's it for us. We thank each and every one of you. Are there any likes on there that we did not get any names? Oh, Roger. Hey, Roger.
Roger Randall. Hey, what's going on?
All right. Yep. So thank you, Roger, for tuning in or liking. Yes. We appreciate it. That's your cousin Randall who just got married, right?
No, that's Roger. Barbara's brother, Roger.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
You're thinking about Eddie.
No. The one who...
Yeah, you're talking about James.
Oh, okay.
Bug's son.
Okay. All right. You call names? No. All right. Thank you, Roger, for tuning in with us. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Kelly. Thank you, Vicky. Thank you,
Blue Sky.
Blue Sky. Thank you, Facebook user Mark.
Yep.
Thank you, Nancy, and thank you, Mia. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. If I missed your name, thank
Rita,
you.
Thank you,
Rita. So thank you, everyone. You guys have a blessed week. We will see you. Hello, family. Y'all have a great weekend. Yes. All right. That's what Blue Sky said. All right. So always, guys, let's take these tools. Let's put them on the shelf to when we need them. Don't think we don't need them. These are free. You don't even have to buy them. You don't even have to buy them. Just stick them up on the shelf. Listen for the intent of knowledge, because guess what? Even if you don't need it, there may be someone who comes to you and say, hey, I have this issue. Do you know what I can do? And then you will have some tools to guide them or some direction to send them in. You can send them to our channel. Also, we also had a few guests on that does couples counseling. We do not do counseling. We do coaching. All right. So there is a fine line, just like love and hate, right? There's a fine line between the difference, but we are not coaches. Not that we couldn't be, we just choose not to be. So we are not counselors, we are coaches. But we do have the numbers of marriage counselors if someone is looking for one. Oh, Liz. Hey, Liz. What's going on, Liz, beauty queen?
Yeah.
All right, I just came in on the tail end, but what I heard sounded great. Thank you so much.
Thank you
we
so much.
love you. We appreciate you, each and every one of you guys. And it is time for Jason and I to head to the gym to get our bodies in shape. And then he's going to take me out to dinner. So,
I am?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I am.
All right, guys. You have a great weekend. And as always, we're in it to win it. Love you.